Go through. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time. My name is Kimberly Logan. I work operations here at iConsumer, your company, and our host this afternoon is our CEO, Mr. Robert Grosshandler.
And heck, it could be morning where some people are. This being virtual means being anywhere and everywhere. Thank you for joining us today. We have a bunch of things to go over, and without further ado, I'm going to sort of recap the agenda. We're going to talk a bit about what it means to be a shareholder. We're going to look a little bit at what the market is doing to the iConsumer stock. We're going to recap how iConsumer works. It's surprising, but every so often it's nice to be reminded of the various things that you can accomplish with iConsumer. Some people are always interested in how to sell their iConsumer stock, although you'll hear me say that I don't think you should be selling, but that's my opinion. Important to all of us is the ability to refer a friend, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. That is perhaps the most beneficial way you can maximize your ownership in iConsumer. And then we have plenty of time for questions and answers. We're going to try to stick to a half an hour, but if you have a question, type it in soon, do it often. We'll get to it either during the course of the webinar or at the end of the webinar. So first and foremost, iConsumer is about shopping. You go shop at those 2,000 stores that we have, and you're going to share in the benefit of creating a company. You're going to share with cash back. You're going to share with a greater ownership stake. And one of the things that we're most proud of is that you're going to share in the learning of what it is to create a public company, a startup company. We've worked really hard to make this possible. You work really hard to make it possible. And so we're really pleased that you're with us today to learn a little bit more about how to shop, share, and learn. First, let's talk about the fact that you own a piece of iConsumer. iConsumer is your company. We don't make it as some oh, I don't know, just sort of a cloudy kind of thing. Oh, you own a little piece of something and whatever. You're actually getting a SEC registered stock in iConsumer. That means for sure that as long as you don't read the numbering on the slide, 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, I don't know where that came from, you own a piece of the company. Your interests are aligned with the company. If we do well, you're going to do well. And hopefully, if you do well, we're going to do well, right? As we do better, the notion is that the price of our stock is going to increase. You own our stock. The price of the stock that you own will also increase. Again, supposedly, because there are no guarantees in this world, there is no rationality, but whenever it is rational, you'll see the price go up as we do better. I want to reinforce the notion that iConsumer is a long-term play. We're still a startup. It really only came together in some respects in December of 2018. So when I talk to you or when I talk to anybody, I say, there's a couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years possibly, before this all begins to gel and the real rewards are out there in the future. We're going to talk about some companies where you're going to see 5, 7, 10 years of history before people were able to reap the rewards of being early in the company. There is some really interesting things, though, about the path we've taken, right? We are a publicly traded company. You're going to see this, the fact that we talk about our stock symbol, RWRDP. We're traded on the OTC market, on the QB market, which is a little bit better of a way to do it. And while it's hard to do, it's not easy to do, you can, if you want to, if there's someone willing to buy, or if there's someone who's willing to sell you RWRDP, you can do that. And that's really unusual. And that's one of the things we worked really hard to make possible. So let's talk about some of the other companies you may have heard of that are perhaps slightly bigger than us. Uber or Lyft or Snap, and there's a bunch of others out there that are going public this year. These companies, you know, they're 5, 7, 10 years old. and they're losing oodles and oodles of money, but it was time for them to go public. So when I talk about when it's time to buy or when it's time to sell, this is one of the reasons why I think that it's way too early to think about selling your iConsumer stock. There is no guarantee that it'll be worth more in the future, but it's what we're trying to make happen. We went public not so that you could have traded stock, although that's a nice sort of side benefit, but that so we could legally have 1 million shareholders. And doing that made us a very rare kind of a company. We're a publicly traded early stage startup. I'm actually beginning to talk about ourselves as being a pre-IPO startup, a pre-initial public offering. We're a direct issuer. Now, having said all of that and given you all of the warnings, it is still fun to watch the stock price. I do it not every day, but most days, and I have alerts in my phone that will alert me if it goes up a lot or goes down a lot. Let's talk about what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, right? Our model is Ebates. You may have heard of Ebates, and you may have heard that they're trying to rebrand themselves as Rakuten because they are spending more money than I can imagine in doing that. They were founded in 1998. They were sold in 2014. According to the best figures we have, it took them about $85 million to create $1 billion in a sale price. Now, the story here is that the venture capitalists and the founders were very, very happy at that $1 billion sale price. But the people who got them, the 2 million members that they had when they sold to Rakuten, got zero. That's zero, right? No B's, no millions, $0 when Rakuten bought Ebates. So we're so intent on making people understand that that's what we're doing, that if you came to our site today and registered, with high likelihood, one of the messages you would see is that we're trying to build and you're going to own the next Ebates. We're going to talk a little bit about that member recruitment thing a little bit later, but this is the message that we hope you're able to get across to the people you talk about, that here's your opportunity to build and own the next Ebates. All right, so we talk about our stock price. This is here for people who come later. You can go online and see what our stock is priced at any moment. I'm going to bring you to an example of that. Right, this was done this morning. And you'll see in the upper right-hand corner a fun thing. The last trade, as of the time I took this picture, happened at 16.5 cents a share. And are you able to see my my mouse as I mouse on the screen?
Yep.
All
At least
right.
I can. Hopefully,
Okay, well,
that means everyone in the audience can too.
one down. That's one down. If I was really clever, I'd know how to make it a much better pen or pencil, but you can't. So what we know here is 16.5 cents. The best person the person who's willing to buy stock is willing to buy it for 10 cents a share. Someone is willing to sell it for 14 cents a share. Down here in the left-hand corner, oh, I can see him now. Down here in the left-hand corner is the best bid and the best ask, and that says that this stock, RWRDP, means that we have a valuation of about $18 million. If someone bought all 108 million shares that are outstanding for 16.5 cents a share, they would pay $18 million for it. So we have a long way to go before we get to that $1 billion price, but we're working on it. So there's a little bit more detail here. Again, this is the kind of information you can see if you go to the OTC site, Yahoo Finance, Google Finance. All these folks have different ways. And again, we're going to show you some of the details. So this is the detail behind what people are willing to pay. Someone's willing to pay 10 cents, someone's willing to pay a nickel. They'd buy 5,000 shares. The guy who's got 0.0501, I don't know how to actually say that, would buy 10,000 shares, and they entered this price this morning. On the other side of this particular chart, someone is willing to sell at 14 cents, 11,261 shares. Someone else is willing to sell at 19 cents. So that's really interesting. One of the things this talks about, I'm going back a screen here, is the difference between these two numbers, the 10 cents and the 14 cents, is the spread, the buy-sell spread, or the buy-ask spread. And the narrower that is an indication of how healthy the market for our stock is. We are still early stage. You'll hear us being referred to as being illiquid because we are very illiquid. But the narrower that gets, the indicates how well we're doing at creating a market for the stock. And again, these are really early days. So I am urging everybody not to want to sell. If you have to, you have to, but don't go and sell. If you want to buy, that's okay. We have more about the spread in the chat segment. Kim is making sure that we have footnotes to our presentation. The other piece that's sort of interesting is how few shares it takes to cause this price to change. So this is trade data, again, from the OTC site. And so on the 10th, the person who paid 16.5 cents only bought 500 shares. The day before, some person or persons bought at 14 cents 3 times. 10 days before that, give or take, someone paid about 13 cents. So you can see that the price being paid varies wildly. So it's what's called highly volatile. Now, one of the fun things about a highly volatile stock is it makes for really interesting looking charts. So this is a chart you can find on the iConsumer site. You go to your dashboard, and this is being constantly updated. It's, I think, 15 minutes delayed. So the market's been closed for about 15 minutes. And you can see that it's been up and down and up and down and going up. I much prefer to watch it go up, but it's going to go down and it's going to go up. We have no real control over that. So great. At the end of the day, what makes iConsumer valuable is the fact that you guys go shop, and we make money when you shop, right? There's about 2,000 retailers that you can go shop at. They're paying us a commission. That's our revenue. We share that commission with you in the form of cash back and stock back. And it's your reward for shopping. The more of that happens, the healthier iConsumer is. If the world is a rational place, it isn't. If the world is a rational place, the price of our stock will go up, right? So now you have this stock. What do you do with it? Well, most people are choosing just to leave it in their account at iConsumer. But some people want the pleasure of seeing it in their brokerage account. Some people want to, there's the perceived safety. Maybe they feel it's safer having the stock in their brokerage account. Or some people want to sell it. And as I say, I don't want you to, but if you want to, that's your choice, not our choice. So the first thing you do is you tell us, I gotta get my pointer going here. You tell us that you want to transfer your stock from iConsumer to Issuer Direct. And there's a cost for that. We have to do what's known as KYC and AML. KYC is Know Your Customer. AML is anti-money laundering. The SEC is really worried that we're supporting terrorists. They're worried that any public company is supporting terrorists. They're not focusing on iConsumer especially. So now you have your stock in that Issuer Direct, which is a transfer agent. They're in business to keep the books and records of stock ownership of public companies. You then go to a brokerage firm and say you would like to take your stock from Issuer Direct, from the transfer agent, and put it into your brokerage account. Our favorite is TD Ameritrade. Not every broker, not every stockbroker will do this for you. TD Ameritrade doesn't charge you for this. Indeed, for some people, because they want you to put stock and open up a brokerage account, they'll actually give you a bonus. You may see their ads that say up to $600. I don't think you'd get that for your iConsumer stock. There is a charge for that, not from TD Ameritrade, but from Issuer Direct. We don't control it. It's a third party. Issuer Direct is going to charge you 25 bucks. We need to make sure that there's a subscription agreement in your file. That's part of the automated process, so you'll be able to transfer it easily. TD Ameritrade wants to make sure that you've got your iConsumer stock legitimately. And it's been taking 5 to 10 days, give or take, for this process to go on. But when it's over, what you have is your 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, because you're an amazing shopper, shares of iConsumer in your TD Ameritrade account. At that point, you're able to say, TD Ameritrade, please sell my shares. You can always tell TD Ameritrade or your favorite broker to go buy more iConsumer shares. You don't have to wait for us to transfer your shares into your brokerage account to buy shares, but to sell them, once they're in your brokerage account, you just tell your broker to sell them. There's more detail beyond this. If you ever need more help, TD Ameritrade and all of the brokers have how do you work the stock market kind of learning centers as part of what they do, because they want you to buy and sell. That's how they make their money. Again, we're not interested in having you sell yet. I personally think it's too early, and there is no guarantee that someone is going to want to buy your stock at the price that you want to sell it. So how do you get more stock? Well, first and foremost, you shop on iConsumer. You're going to get shares when you shop. On top of, you're going to get some cash back. You're going to get more shares in iConsumer. Next, we urge you to go tell your friends. The bigger we are, the better we can become. So you're going to earn stock when you tell friends, and you may or may not have noticed it. We haven't sent out a notice about this yet, but when you refer a friend who shops even once via iConsumer, you're going to earn 250 shares. I really should have done the math here. That's 250 shares at 16.5 cents in today's value. That value may be 20 cents tomorrow, in which case that'd be 50 bucks. It may be 10 cents tomorrow, in which case it'd be 25 bucks. And at 16.5 cents, it's about $37, because I can't do that math in my head. And then currently, you're
41.25.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Kim. I knew someone was going to help me out on this. You can always actually buy stock directly in iConsumer. That's always right now. That's not always in the future, but always right now. You can go buy stock in iConsumer. Go to www.iconsumer.com/invest, and we're selling stock at 15 cents a share. We had to tell the SEC what we're going to sell it at. We can't change that very easily. So right now it's 15 cents a share. Indeed, we'll go back through the history of what we've been selling our stock at. So we think our secret sauce is, as I've been saying, the more valuable we are, the more likely our stock price is to go higher. Our price of our stock is impossible to control. Boy, if I could wave a magic wand and make it go up or go down, I would be on a tropical island someplace sipping a margarita.
Or in jail.
I can't, or in jail. There you go. Or in jail on a tropical island. How about that?
There you go.
But I do know the more shopping, the more valuable we are. That's for sure. Whether or not the market recognizes how valuable we are isn't for sure, but it is for sure. The more shopping, the more people using iConsumer, the more people joining as members, the more valuable we are. So let's look at that stock price, where it's been, right? We started life as we first began to do this at 4.5 cents a share. We then said, okay, we've accomplished a whole bunch of milestones. We're going to change the price that we would sell stock to the public to 9 cents a share. And currently it's at 15 cents a share. We haven't announced that we're changing that. If we do change it, we will announce it, and we will probably give you advanced warning. I believe we have to give you advanced warning. One of the great things about being a public company is that you get to see the facts and figures behind iConsumer. We publish our financial statements twice a year. Our annual financial statement is called a Form 1K. You can see it at any given time. All of our SEC filings are right there at that link. If you really need something to help you go to sleep, I suggest you read the entire thing. We actually work really hard on this to make sure that it's accurate, to make sure that it reflects our best thinking, and we share that with you so you understand as well as we know how to do the facts and figures behind iConsumer. But admittedly, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you've never been a shareholder in a public company, if you've never been a shareholder in a startup, and most of our members have not, it gets confusing. So we built Shareholder Academy, shareholderacademy.iconsumer.com, for people who are first-time investors in public startups. And then the other thing to remember is that we have a support team that likes answering questions. So again, just to remind everybody, this presentation is being recorded. It will be posted at support.iconsumer.com, and we'd love your questions. I'm not watching the questions, but if you have them, please answer them. I'm about to wrap up the semi-prepared remarks. So support.iconsumer.com is your friend. And then in order to make our lawyers happy and the SEC happy, the safe harbor statements. We talked about futures in this presentation, futures that may or may not come true. We will do our darndest to make them come true, but we can't guarantee that they will come true. And our final thought, we are here to make a dent in the universe. So I invite questions. Hopefully we'll invite some answers. We'll have some answers for you as well. Kim, how are we doing on questions?
So far, it looks like you covered everything that anyone could possibly want to know about iConsumer.
Well,
because we have no questions.
Lovely. We have no questions. So one of the things that I find always interesting is people ask me, well, how many stores are there? And I am going to, while we let people come up maybe with a question, is I'm going to show you just a sampling of the stores, right? You have baskets.com, 800baskets.com, where you get a 12% rebate, or other biggies. Watch out, you're going to see a special email from us tomorrow about Target, where you're going to get increased cash back. See what you get for coming to our webinar. And we have just a new one that I haven't seen. So I'm going to click on it. And it's like everything else in the world, you shouldn't do things for the first time in public. But we have a whole new wedding category. There are lots of people who get married this time of year. It's a really nice time of year to get married. I, of course, got married on a September day outside when it was about 40 degrees out. My mother wore long underwear. So I fully, that is the truth. I fully recommend going to our site, checking out the wedding category. And if you haven't already registered, go ahead and register at one of these fine stores. And if you're buying gifts for the people who are in your wedding, this is a great way to buy some gifts for folks in your thing. I'm still seeing no more questions. Kim, anything else that I've missed that you'd like me to cover?
Well, you did mention Ebates, so I'm going to pose the question of, can you be a member of Ebates and iConsumer?
Well, the answer is yes, you can be a member, but you can't get a rebate from both of us. And obviously, we would prefer you get a rebate from iConsumer, because that rebate is going to help build the company you own. Ebates is owned by a big Japanese company. They don't need your money. You don't get benefited when you shop at Ebates, other than the cash back, which is nice. But you get great cash back at iConsumer, and you get shares of stock. So you get to learn, you get to earn, and you get to participate in building your future. And with that, no questions. Anything further, Kim?
No, that's all. And we're about 3 minutes early. So everyone gets to have 3 minutes back in their day who was planning on being here for half an hour.
Lovely. Thank you all for coming. Again, support.iconsumer.com is your friend if you do come up with a question that you don't want us to answer in public. We really do appreciate your being a shareholder, telling your friends, and telling us when we do things well, and telling us if we don't do things well. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.